Hello guys and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me Vulcan. Today I have for you the semi-final round of the 8th BTR Flash tournament, and today we're going to be watching B5P take on Disco Commandos. So this is one of obviously two semi-finals. Unfortunately I'm not going to be able to show you the final, so this will be the last match I will show you of the 8th BTR Flash tournament, but hopefully it will be a good one. So, of course, on the blue side we have B5P, and on the red side we have Disco Commandos. Now, the blue side are probably going to be using their mix of German mechanized and American decks, and then it looks like we're seeing the use of packed decks on the other side. So the red team seems to be making use of what looks to be a Russian deck. Actually, no, this looks like it's going to be a mixed deck. Unless one is playing Chinese and one is playing Russian. Let's just have a quick look. It looks like we have a mixed deck and a Russian deck. Okay. So that should be pretty interesting to start off with, but blue side haven't really put anything down, so let's focus on what the red side's going for. So they've got a lovely amount of MI25s here, and I'm actually quite looking forward to how these do, because last time on the blue side we saw them use a push with fullscreen in the CH53Gs. And if they try that against this team, it looks like they're going to be bumping into a lot of MI25s, which will shoot them down very easily if those CH53Gs aren't supported by AA. But it'll be interesting to see if the blue team actually goes with the same strategy that they used in the last game. Because all of these games, I think, were played on the same day. So unless the people from the last game they played told the people in the next game what they did, then there would be no way in knowing what the other team was going to do on the day. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the blue team go with the same strategy again, because it worked in the last game. But like I say, it will end up bumping into these MI25s, and there is of course a KA-52 Akula, which is exceptional recon and does have anti-air missiles. I think it has 4 Iglas equipped. Along with all those helicopters though, the red team does have 4 BTR ATAs. I'm not sure quite what's going to be coming in those, but they are pretty expensive APCs with really nice autocannons on them. We've got 2 ZTQ-62Gs, one of my favourite recon vehicles. They have very good recon and they are decent tanks as well. Then we got the ZSU-23 for Shilka. These are nice for AAA defense. Then we have BTR 70 with probably some Conkers in them. Some more BTR ATAs, 4 T72Bs. That's quite a lot to begin with, but they're very nice tanks as well. Very good value for money. We got 2 Book M1s, BTR 60P, ATS 103. I have no idea what that is, so let's have a quick look. It looks like that is just a tank destroyer. A very strange looking one. Then we have another ZTQ-62G sitting at the back. Over on the right side of the map, there isn't actually much here at all. That's really interesting. We've got 4 BTR 60Ps, which are really cheap infantry carriers, supported by 2 MT LBVs with some other infantry in them. So the spread of composition at the start of this game is really nice to see, because it shows that the red team is going to be focusing so much on this left side of the map. They're actually not too concerned what happens on the right. Whereas if we jump to the blue side, we can start to have a look at what they actually decided to bring in. So no helicopter rush, no CH53Gs, which is cool. We've got an MD Jupiter here. We've got AMX 10P with Milans, MD Jupiter, and we've got a Black Panzer Gepard A1, a couple of AMX 10Ps with more Milans. Oh, there's another one there as well. We've got another Black Panzer and a Roland 3 with 8, well, actually make that 12 M36 sluggers. So they're going for sort of a spam tank at the start, spam tank strategy, supported by HGMs and recon and anti-air. So a nice spread really, but I'm not too keen on the use of lots of cheap tanks. They're very vulnerable to decent airstrikes. But anyway, we have 4 Marder 1A3s here, probably with Panzer Grenadiers. Over on this side, we've got 4 B150s with Navy SEALs most likely. We've got an Avenger. We've got 2 M2A1 Bradley IFBs with Riflemen. We've got a UH-60A Black Hawk with a command infantry squad, which is going to go to Gulf by the looks of things. And we've got another one in Foxtrot. Then we've got a Chaparral and I-Hawk supporting 2 M1IP Abrams and an M1A1 HC Abrams. So very heavy tank push on this left side for the blue team. Very similar to what they did in the last episode in order to take over Hotel and provide a presence here. But I'm not sure how effective this is really going to be if we look at the red side. The red side's not putting anything towards Hotel, so these will be completely wasted troops. Whereas the focus push on this left side by the red team is going to absolutely roll over these forces if they're not careful. So at the start, we see the use of a J72M, a small air superiority fighter with a 23mm cannon and 2 infrared missiles. Reasonably good for shooting down enemy helicopters, but the reason people use them is to get their air detection, which is exceptional. So it will show enemy helicopters a mile off, which would have given them the jump on the CH-53s if the blue team had decided to use them again. So we see the spread of these Mi-25s at the start. It's really something we should focus on here. So they've pushed these up and they've spread them out nicely. That way they can cover all lines of attack and they can pick off any units that get too far ahead of the convoy. And that's exactly what's happening here. So we can see an MD Jupiter being picked off by this Mi-25 and another one here that's likely to be attacked by this Mi-25, although that's already been engaged by the Flak Panzer and the Roland 3. So one Mi-25 goes down. This one's being stunned nicely as well. So didn't lose this MD Jupiter. But these ones are going to be taken out with Jaegers inside. And they're going to likely get into the forest. So they haven't lost too much so far, but the Flak Panzers are still too far back. And this is going to allow the Mi-25s to get off a couple of shots with their SAC-loss HDGMs. It's good to see the use of these AMX-10Ps, not being shy, in order to shoot these Mi-25s down with the autocannons that those provide. They do have nice 20mm autocannons that are reasonably accurate. But now we see the engagement from these BTR ATAs. Now the BTR ATAs have a 30mm autocannon, and I believe they're a lot more accurate. Yes, they are. 40% accuracy compared to the AMX-10P's 15%. Now, this means that the BTRs will outclass the AMX-10Ps if they're not careful, but luckily the blue team does have these Milan F2s. SU-25K coming in though with his bombs and absolutely blowing the crap out of the M36s. And that's exactly what I said might happen. Bombers absolutely annihilate cheap tanks. It's just how it is. Up here it looks like we've lost a... is that an Eagle? An Eagle's been shot down for the blue team. Now, what did I say previously? The blue team relied so much on their air. Now that Eagle did take out all of that infantry in the BTR ATAs, and the rest of the HGMs on these Marder 1A3s and the HGM Milan F2 squads are going to work on this push pretty well. So you can see these ZTQs under fire. But hopefully they will be able to destroy a couple of these Marder 1A3s, but it looks like they've just managed to retreat them into this compound so that they are out of line of sight. Meanwhile, on the right, we've got Pachongsu, which is being dropped off by these BTR 60Ps, not allowing the blue team to take over this compound, which I said was so vital to wipe out if you want to maintain control of Hotel. We've got the MTLBBs dropping off troops into this little compound as well. So it's just providing a presence, which is going to scare the blue team quite a bit. But the heavy presence of the red team is all on the left side. You can see these ZTQs trying to max range these Marder 1A3s, not doing great, and they have lost a lot of units here, including the Shilkas. But they have managed to keep these T-72Bs alive. Now, I would have liked to have seen a helicopter come in, but it looks like we've already got that coming. Maybe that would have been nice a bit sooner while these T-72Bs were still out in the open. Now they're going to be able to push across and wipe out all of the Marders that appear, along with any units that are trying to escape, including this Flak Panzer Gepard. Now these HGM Milan F2 squads on their own will not stand a chance either. As soon as they reveal themselves, the T-72Bs will be able to snipe them immediately. Over on the right, the Bradleys and the Abrams will struggle to take the most Strelki out of the buildings without their own infantry support. So on this left side, the reason infantry are so important for pushing compounds is because they reveal the presence of enemy infantry. And that's how the Abrams will end up doing damage to those squads. So that's incredibly important to note, and that's why a lot of army compositions are comprised of a lot of infantry, but with good supporting units that can fire onto the enemy. So that's what's happening here. They're using this rifleman to spot the Pachongzu squads, and then they're firing on them with the Abrams. A nice move there by the blue team. We do see a presence of the Motor Strelki here, and they're going to be able to be used to snipe a couple of these M36s, but they're going to bump straight into these T-72Bs anyway, and they will be one shot, of course. Now the T-72Bs do have a decent rate of fire. 8 rounds per minute is pretty high for the majority of tanks. MiG-23 MLD there being shot down by the Flak Panzer Gepard A1s. It looks like they have spotted the command vehicle in Bravo. This Iltis Kato trying to hide behind the compound there. You see the Pachongzu squads are being cleaned up effectively by these Riflemen 90 and the Abrams. So that is going to allow the blue team to take full control of Hotel without any contesting from the red side. But with any infantry moving up into this town, you can see the same things happening here. The Motor Strelki are revealing the Panzer Grenadiers, and it's allowing the T-72Bs to fire onto that town. ZTQ's getting a shot in as well. That managed to survive from the initial engagement. And it's very important that the red team's got these T-72Bs alive. I'm not sure quite what happened to the longbow. I'm assuming it must have got shot down by this book, because that's the only thing that I can see that's out of ammo, unless they had a KA-52 do the work. And the KA-52 is being brought up to fire its Igla at this AH-1S Cobra, and that's going to stop these BTR ATAs from being taken out by that. The anti-radar missile from the KA-52 recon helicopter did actually snipe a Flak Panzer Gepard while that was happening as well. But I like to see these probing units from the red team that are annoying the blue team in the middle of the map. They managed to force the command vehicle of the blue team out of Bravo, which has leveled the conquest points coming in. But the blue team is actually 332 points ahead to the red team's 3 points, and that is something actually to point out quite a lot. It's not often you see a lead like that come this quickly, but it's because the red team didn't invest in command vehicles at the start of the game. They put most of their money into this push. Now you can see these T-72Bs managing to sit this close to these Panzer Grenadiers without being in trouble because of their really high front armor. They have 15 front armor, and the Panzer Grenadiers only have a AP power of 14, so the T-72s can stay at that close range, and the Panzer Grenadiers will never ever penetrate them in the front armor. And the reason for that is because the Panzer Grenadiers actually have heat rockets, which means they will always have the same AP value, no matter what range the enemy is at. So, the ZTQ, finding an AH-64D longbow, is going to get sniped out, which is going to get rid of that unit very nicely. But a J72M being brought in, they're likely going to try and use that to snipe out the AH-64. Looks like that might get shot down by the Flak Panzer Gepard A1 if they're not careful. F-16C Block 52 came in and finished the job. So it's interesting to see, if we look at the map as a whole, the blue team did have a rather overwhelming presence on the map, which was what gave them such an advantage at the start of the game. I believe they had a CV in Delta and a CV in Bravo, which made their conquest points coming in rather significant. Whereas now, the red team have managed to push all the way across this plateau on the left, and have actually forced the blue team completely away from Bravo. Now, of course, they still have these Panzer Grenadiers here, but this is cutting off the reinforcements completely. Anything that comes down this road is just going to get sniped by the BTR ATAs and the T-72Bs. Of course, they are going to have to be careful about these AH-1Ss that are harassing them, but they do have the Shilka support right there, so that should be just fine. That will probably take out that AH-1S after a little while. Navy SEALs in the centre have spotted these Pachongzi. I would like to have seen these being moved a bit closer so that they can make use of that 40mm grenade launcher effectively. The grenade launcher only has a range of 455 meters, so you have to get it reasonably close in order to make use of that. Now, what I'm really surprised about by the blue team is how long they spent trying to get rid of the infantry near Hotel. They've only just secured this compound, and now they're moving their Abrams across the map towards India and Bravo. Now, with India and Bravo captured, the red team is actually at a +4 advantage, which is actually huge. And if they're not careful, they are going to lose their lead very quickly on the blue side. So an Su-24 coming in now. That does have anti-radar missiles and is going to be used to take out any enemy AA. And with them knowing there's no anti-air in the vicinity, they bring in a MiG-27 with a anti-tank missile and shoot one of the M1 Abrams. We've got a Q5 coming in here with its 130mm rockets, trying to get a strafing run onto the Navy SEALs, but the Navy SEALs go out of the way in time. Another Q5, trying again, but nope, missing for a second time. F-16C block is going to be a little bit late to the party, although it is going to jump straight in and find a MiG-23 MLD. But it looks like that did actually snipe an Apache. That is huge. So the MiG-23 MLD is an anti-air plane, but it's mostly used to shoot down helicopters due to its amazing infrared missiles. And this F-16C block is doing work on the red team's Air Force. This MiG-27 will probably get away though. Another Q5 though might get shot down by this F-16 if they're not careful. Not quite sure what this Q5 was shooting at, especially after the last M1A1 Abrams has since been taken out. Now it seems as though the red team is just doing a lot of sniping with their Air Force. They're using these Q5s, they're really accurate anti-tank missiles and so on to snipe the movements of the blue team on their left side. Because the blue team's trying to move their units from left to right. And they're doing it basically in front of all of this recon. It's really nice to see the amount of recon this red team has. They saw it coming a mile off, and they're just picking off the enemy one by one with their helicopters with all of this recon. Now, it's been a long time in these competitive games since we've actually seen the use of this much recon, and I think it's really about time. So they're using this KA-52 on the left for exceptional recon, which is of course going to spot anything more or less around this area. And then they've got the Conquer squad, which is covering the road. They've got a MI-25 here, a ZTQ sitting in this tree line. Then they've got the MD-500D, another ZTQ, which just took out an Avenger. And then they've got this UAZ-469, which has exceptional recon. There you see the MI-25 actually take down a Black Hawk that tried to attack it. The MI-25 is going to fly straight over the top of these Panzer Grenadiers. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets shot down because of that. Oh man, that MI-25 is really lucky. What saved it though is its one front armor and one side armor, which allowed that to get away nicely. But that is actually a massive mistake by the blue player there. They should have focused on that a lot quicker, because that is very close to finding their TACOM squad that's hiding in Delta. Su-25K coming in with its 8 500-kilogram bombs is going to blow the crap out of those Panzer Grenadiers as they try and dodge it. Su-24 coming in with the anti-radar missiles. Not necessarily going to be needed though, as the Mi-25 has actually found the TACOM squad but is being stunned. And it looks like it might get shot down by this AH-1S. Wow. Very, very lucky there for the blue team that that did get blown up. But a MiG-27 coming in now with its air-to-ground missiles. Looks like it's been evac straight away, probably because it lost its target. Okay, so here comes the Q5, and that's going to be tasked with taking out this TACOM squad. Let's see if it hits. Looks like they have a pretty poor memory. Okay, so the TACOM squad actually moved anyway, and is going to be heading towards Echo. But as you can see, the red team is pretty much conquering the entire map. With the blue team's push on the left being taken out, it has meant that the red team has been able to secure their position on the right. And this is basically smothering the blue team off this center island now. And that's put them at a +3 advantage, which is very soon going to win them the match. So Mojostrelki with the BTR ATA here, taking on some Navy SEALs. That should be just fine. We've got a Q5 being used to have another go at sniping the enemy. And it's going to miss. A lot of command sniping has gone on throughout this game, which is interesting to see, but not always very fun to play against. Su-25K going in for a bombing run in a similar position by the looks of things. They spotted the TACOM squad in Echo, and I think that's going to provide the killing blow. Puts them back at +3 advantage for the red team. And now this Mi-25 is free to pretty much go into Delta and try and find this LAVC-2. And it will find it very, very quickly. And it looks like the cannon on that will destroy it before the Chaparral can shoot it down. The Chaparral missed pretty much all of its missiles there. 4 missiles out of 4 missed. Actually, maybe 1 hit. But either way, it doesn't really matter. And the red team is at a now +6 advantage after sniping the commanding hotel. And that is good game. So, it's really cool to see something different for once. We've been seeing a lot of mechanized decks, a lot of heavy tanks, and in some ways it's become a bit generic. It's a bit boring. But now we see the blue team, who have been so dominant throughout this tournament so far. We've watched 2 of their games where they win, and this was 3rd, and now they've lost to the red team, who made use of a lot of helicopters. Now, I think what was really good from the start of the game was the red team's helicopters actually held back the blue team's convoy on the left side of the map from the red's point of view. And that's allowed them to bring up their huge army that they had massed on that left side with the T-72Bs and all of the other infantry with the BTR ATAs and so on. And it basically prevented the blue team from moving too far forwards. And then the backup came down the fast move roads. And that was used to then crush that left side with the overwhelming force of the two armies mixed together. And it was really nice to see something completely different like that. Now, the blue team was more sort of working independently. They were, oh, let's go one side, you go one side, I'll go the other kind of thing. And that didn't work out for them at all in this game, as it seemed that the teamwork from the red team just was so much better. Now, also, with the use of those helicopters, as they continued through the game, they didn't let up, which is something that you don't often see, mainly due to the fact that once you start bringing in helicopters, people invest in a lot of AAA, which is cheap and can shoot down helicopters very quickly. But in this case, the blue team didn't necessarily do that, and the red team therefore exploited it very easily in order to get a lot of command snipes at the end of the game there. They got 3 kills with Mi-25s, and you just can't let that happen if you're playing in a game of this caliber. Now, of course, there isn't really much we can say that the blue team necessarily did wrong. I just think they possibly should have defended their CVs better with AAA, especially considering they knew that the red team was using a lot of helicopters. But other than that, the red team just had a better strategy for this particular game. Using the helicopters from the beginning really helped them out. Now, I believe in the last game that the blue team played, they did bring out Kiowas, and they would have been able to use them to shoot down the Mi-25s. But they didn't in this game, which kind of confused me. The American player definitely had them on his deck. So, yeah. I think they just were so invested in destroying those T-72Bs that they actually forgot that the enemy still had a lot of points invested in helicopters. Well, anyway, let me know what you guys think about this game. It was really short, 16 minutes and 39 seconds. It seems that these last games of each of these tournaments that I'm casting don't seem to be as interesting as the previous ones, but hopefully you enjoyed it nonetheless, and it maybe showed you a strategy that you haven't necessarily seen before. It's not often you see that much invested in helicopters at the start of the game, and I really think it caught out the blue team. Also, actually, before I let you go, the use of the red team's air force as well, because they managed to push back the blue team so much and prevent them from getting reinforcement points. They then managed to secure their reinforcement points so much that they had so many points in their air force. So they were making use of those Q5s, the Su-25K, which is my favourite bomber, and the MiGs, in order to just dominate the skies and snipe any units, especially all of those Abrams that were moving from the right side to the left side. So yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.